Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Conspiring Conspiracy Theorists, the podcast where we talk about conspiracy theories, old and new, and completely random, completely dumb, completely smart. So, Gibson and I are here, but we're joined with three other people. So, if you guys would like to introduce yourselves, we'll start with you and work our way around.
Keegan Gentry, a.k.a. Baby Carrot here.
FFG
Oh, yeah? You going by that now?
a.k.a. how it's somebody
It's over here. We got Tyler B, aka the original Power Ranger.
And
Hey,
to start this one off... No, that was the last one we did. You weren't here for that.
I apologize in advance for our homosexual friends.
So, we're going to start this off with nuclear explosions on Mars. So this says, in November of 2014, Dr. John Brandenburg presented his theory on the annual fall meeting of the American Physical Society in Illinois that an ancient civilization on Mars was wiped out by a nuclear attack from another alien race. His research is focused on the high concentration of xenon-129 in the Martian atmosphere, as well as the uranium and thorium can't say that word, on the surface, which was spotted by NASA's Mars Odyssey. Yes, Keegan.
Bush caused 9/11.
Yeah, that one we tried to avoid. While scientists have previously pointed out that the appearance of these elements is not surprising since they are natural elements found everywhere, Brandenburg believes they are the remains of two nuclear explosions on the surface of the planet. Scientist says that Mars once had a climate similar to Earth and held animal and plant life, as well as intelligent life that would have been as advanced as the ancient Egyptians. So, thoughts on nuclear explosions on Mars by other aliens?
Bro, I'm just telling you, there's some crazy ass motherfuckers out there. They're trying to butt fuck us.
Gibson, what are your thoughts?
Dude, I don't...
Davin brings up these discussions that only he knows about.
I'm reading them off the website.
Bro, like,
Yes, we nuked Mars. I know.
Yeah, we did it.
So it's like it's none of my fucking business. Like, if these people want to go to nuclear war, let them.
bro, I'm
They
just
want to
saying,
nuke. If they wanted to nuke their own planet, I'd say fuck it, forget it. It's their problem. They're dead.
So wait, the
Hold
whole
up.
thing is based on something in the atmosphere that they're determining is what caused the nuclear war.
Right, and what it did leave out is there are these 2 points on Mars where the Xenon-129 is at its highest, and they think that there were possibly two civilizations. Another theory, kind of with John Brandenburg's, is that there were two civilizations on Mars and they nuked each other, because that's where the 2 high points are for that.
See, I see there's a
Xenon-129.
flaw in that theory, though. If they both nuked each other at the same time, even if it's in what the retro span of a million to a couple of million years that this alien civilization supposedly existed,
Mhm.
levels would have died off by then. Even
Right.
like we can see with the nuclear meltdown in China,
Well,
they
see,
estimated that stuff's supposed to be gone by 2040.
right, but
And that's equivalent to a nuclear explosion. The waste came out and washed over everything.
the Xenon-129 would still be there. That's
Well, if
kind of
it's
like
there,
that's
it's
that
still
element.
such a large quantity there.
It's still like they could live. Like if it had an atmosphere, they'd be fine to have. It wouldn't be like radiation poisoning, anything like that. It's just
Xenon-129 is a gas form that's created from nuclear fission whatever isotopes collide,
yes.
which does not necessarily indicate that a nuclear bomb has exploded, and does not necessarily indicate that like 2 people just came together, like clapped 2 fucking
Couldn't that
uranium
also
ores
be
together.
debunked if, say, a meteor of a certain size of a certain radioactive material crashed into the side of a building? Not of the building.
Of the building.
Mars is a fucking
The building
building.
on Mars.
The building on Mars.
The building of Mars.
No, yes, that definitely could be. Yeah.
Yeah, a
definitely.
large enough meteor of a radioactive material. We already know space is radioactive. That
Right.
would seem of a good way. But now you did say it's 2 opposing points. Now, is it opposing points of equal distance, or is it opposing points of, say, the South and North Pole?
Ooh,
Because
now we're
that
getting into
might
it.
be a good of a way to debunk it. Because if you
Right.
think about it, the South and North Pole are our biggest magnetic points
Wanna
when
get your
Earth is
pole,
on its axis. Because if it's on Mars' axis, that would make sense. But then again, the trajectory, where would they have come from, and why would they have collided in the exact same points? There's so many number crunching there to get a full...
It's impossible to get an actual diagnosis of what actually
Yeah,
occurred.
it seems too much of a hole in this theory for him to truly put all this base theory around it without...
Well, that's the thing. This man is like a scientist, and he just like staked his career with that outlandish claim that he has no evidence to back up, except for the Xenon-129. That's all he has.
Well, okay, if there's if there's that chemical in the atmosphere, that radiation, that gas,
Mhm.
why haven't we... I mean, we've had multiple rovers on there. We've had multiple missions to there. Not people.
Right.
Not yet. They're still estimating and trying to do all that. We should have another talk about that.
Mhm.
A couple billion, get your plane ticket, go to fucking Mars.
Yeah.
Trump president. Yep, we're leaving. Why haven't we gone to the specific areas on the 2 points of the planet to judge the radioactivity that could be in the soil or any samples on there? It can still get a basic understanding. Yes, we won't claim the soil samples because
Right.
it can't send it back, but we can still get a judging because it has a scanner on it that produces and tells us if it's radioactive where it's going, because it can corrupt
Right.
any
So
object on the
well,
rover.
so what happened? There's I can't remember what year it was signed. I believe probably the 60s, 70s, something like that. That no Earthling is allowed to harvest certain things from these planets. Like we're not allowed to harvest water from Mars, which is extremely fucked in my opinion. But like
doesn't Mars still not have under the ground? We've discovered large claims of isotopic rocks that still have water crystals inside of them.
Yeah.
It's a hardened, crystallized version of water.
and there's microbes that are living in it and all that. So there's like single cell organisms. But so what are you guys think that's we kind of debunked that. We're thinking that's not
I mean, there's multiple things. We can't truly say it's debunked.
right. We can't close it. We can't close that.
We can
case.
technically say it is plausible,
Yeah,
but also
but not probable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For it to be two physical points for them to first, both of them have to simultaneously hit the fuck you button
Yeah,
and send a nuke.
and just watch their destruction fall down on them.
Yeah,
and
they're
not be
like,
prepared,
oh, they
not
sent
be-
one.
Yeah, let's
Fuck
do
you.
two.
Let's just hit this, send it back.
Fuck it, we're going down with a
But
fight.
yet, why haven't we not discovered any shrapnel and
Right.
that you can't build? Well, you can't say technically build.
You know what
We
we
have
would
no
have
way.
found if that was the case? It might have been eroded over time, but I think we would have found like these like pottery shards and whatnot, like these glass shards that happen whenever nuclear testing went off.
We
here on
should have
Earth.
seen something of an
Yeah.
actual basis of civilization, if not structures, if not even with millions of years and millions of years of degradation to the planet. If it did lose its atmosphere, did lose all of its water, there still should be minerals that we've taken from there. We should find at least some form of a mineral that would correspond with bone or exoskeleton, something of another species that we can identify to actually have lived there, not just microorganisms.
Right.
Unless we're finding like fucking dung beetles, and it's like, yeah, the aliens, the other shit.
Could we just grow a set of fucking balls and just go up there?
Well, that's the
Like-
plan.
like-
That's the
no,
problem.
no, let
Actually,
me-
that's
let me-
another
let me
theory
explain
that's-
this.
That should
Let me-
be brought
let
up
me
that not
explain
many people
this.
talk about. It was said that NASA
I don't give
spent
a-
too much money
I don't
to
give
go to
a
the moon. let
hold
alone
up,
us going
hold
to
up,
Mars.
hold up. I don't give a fuck. We're Americans. We're all a bunch of fucking pussies. No, I'm being for real. Like, if we're saying we're gonna go to Mars, let's just fucking go to Mars.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not as
The
simple.
government
as that.
already takes our fucking tax money as is. What the fuck gonna do with it? Oh, hello, I'm the fucking president of the United States.
So
I'm a
that's
fucking
what
circle
Elon
jerk.
Musk is trying to do with SpaceX, trying to get
Like,
That's why
if
he's
we're
sending a car
spending
out
a
into space.
ridiculous amount of fucking taxes, why don't we just put the money into something good and then some bullshit? Oh, look,
Why don't
guess
we fix
what?
Flint, Michigan?
Oh,
Yeah,
I am
why not
U.S.
fix Flint's Michigan
Oh,
water?
oh, yeah, I'm U.S. Marine Corps. I just got another gun.
got
Oh,
another
oh, look, my MRE came with a fucking Oreo.
Put money
Yeah.
into that rather
Oh,
than
look,
actual space
yeah.
flight.
Oh, look. I mean, I get it that like
We
you
have
know, our military-
explored far more of space than we have of
our own
planet.
oceans.
Bro.
Yeah, we haven't,
We haven't
gone
even-
That's the
deep
thing.
enough.
we haven't
That's
even
another
touched-
thing.
We just
Why
recently
haven't
found the
we
immortal
not got
jellyfish.
in- Why haven't we built a
Yeah, because
fucking
doesn't
badass
it reset
fucking
its own
sub
lifespan
to
by
go
deteriorating
into the
itself
fucking
back
water?
to
It
its
dies
Because
when it
nothing
wants to
could
die,
sustain the
otherwise it
level
can
of
live
pressure
forever.
that far down.
Why haven't we done the research to do that? I mean, look at fucking Black
We haven't
Panther.
found a
Welcome
metal or
to
material
Wakanda.
that
We
we
got
can
fucking
make.
metal.
There's not
Boy,
a material
there has
that
to
we
be
make.
something.
'Cause the
some
only
motherfuckers fucking. Some motherfuckers.
Because the only material stronger
say
than the
that.
metal they use for all those military subs is not strong under pressure.
Like the strongest sub right now in existence, I don't know its name, but I saw a video about it, and it's gone as far down as Mount Everest's tip is high. We've gone that far down, and the pressure down there, they said, is about 20,000 tons per square inch. And it can only stay down there for 5 minutes before it completely destroyed itself.
But still,
That's
like,
20,000 tons.
Like, we're making railguns and shit. And putting them on boats.
all right, can we go to the
We
next
have
topic?
one.
I
Yes.
think we
Yeah,
just got
railgun.
stupid.
Yeah, what's the next one that's not planetarium?
And can you not give me something like that's like?
Let's
fucking
get
overland?
into
What
it.
about,
Atlantis.
Cicada?
Atlantis.
Yeah.
We're already talking
We
about
gonna
the ocean
find
deep
it.
down.
Davin, what about cicada? What's that? cicada thing with the
bug?
alien?
What?
The freaking flight. The black box from the Malaysia flight.
Oh, dude, yeah. I don't want to talk about that right now because that's crazy. That's like so much, dude.
That guy went as cicada.
Delta. Sierra.
I'll be back, lovelies.
There you go. There's
But-
car keys. Knock yourself out.
Let's talk Atlantis.
Where's he going?
I think he's going out to the car real quick. He's gonna FaceTime his. No, okay, he's gonna FaceTime a girl I got him. Yeah, we went to McDonald's and he thought this girl was cute and knows about me to reverse to the back window when a car was about to pull up. So I can just be like, hey, he thinks you're really cute and nice. Can I has their number? And he got it. So it was pretty lit.
So there's this theory going around that Atlantis was. So I tried to make Daxton watch this a long time ago. It's like an hour-long video.
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, sure. So it was basically saying, and it's super far-fetched, man, but it's basically saying like, I can't even begin to say it all, but yeah, but like back then there was a higher learning, a higher state of mind where people could meditate basically and go out of their own bodies type of thing, like a
Okay, the
spiritual
spectral
level.
plane.
Yeah. So you're saying there was that. There was also Martians that fleed destruction from their planet came here, and basically they made a 5-point star on Atlantis as each group on a different point. But it said they were mostly left-brained, except the Martians were all right-brained. Instead of, it was all like female mind for everyone there, but male mind for the Martians, and the Martians wanted war. They wanted to destroy. And there was a meteor coming or something like that. I can't remember. The left brains wanted to do like nothing about it. They wanted to just kind of sit there and try to like meditate. The Martians wanted to just blow it out the sky, and it escalated. I'm pretty sure how it said it happened was they built like this pyramid on Atlantis, and it was an infinite source of power. It was basically an EMP also, like that type of thing. So flash forward, that's just one theory. The theory that I've come across the most is that Atlantis is the Bermuda Triangle. Like, that's where it sunk. And that would explain, they found a pyramid recently. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was on, like, a bunch of news
It was off
sites.
the coast of near where the Bermuda Triangle. I actually saw it. A
Yeah.
diver went down.
Yep.
There was a pyramid
the black,
underwater.
the Black Pyramid,
Yeah.
yep.
And they
So-
fully discovered it, but they can't get to the bottom chambers because
Right.
of pressure in a human. And
So what if that's an EMP? What if that's the Atlantis Pyramid? What if that's what causes all these planes and boats to lose communication, to fall out of the sky?
Well, we already know electronic magnetic pulse. That's what an EMP is.
Yeah.
If it's doing that to planes and everything, it's not going to be in a focalized area.
Mhm.
It's not going to focus it like we can with some EMPs, like portable ones or small ones we can make for cell phones just to display signal.
Right.
If it was something they were using on a large scale that was supposed to interact with a meteorite,
Right.
it would put off a larger signal, a larger range than this couple 100-kilometer triangle in the random part of Pacific.
Right.
It would still have outsourced into some areas.
They built it right in the meteor's path and it was pointed straight up at it.
Well, then that means it would have a massive projector.
That would be a lot of math.
Not
Trying
even
to
a lot
figure
of math.
that
It's a
out.
lot. It's
Well, to
not-
figure out where it's going to exactly come to where it lines up with it. Unless you're talking about just make it to where this wide
angles.
Yeah,
It angles out. But see, if you think about that, that means everything in the trajectory of the Bermuda Triangle spreading out. That means, yes, the sky of the Bermuda Triangle, but we lose contact with stuff in that physical zone that is
Right.
the Bermuda Triangle. People stay away from it,
Right.
which doesn't make sense. So if it is an EMP that's blasting out a large magnetic pulses, one, it would show up on radars.
Mhm.
Two, it would show on any type of scan. And three, it would spread in a larger radius than those couple 100 kilometers.
Right.
We'll fly, you should hit it hundreds of kilometers before the triangle.
Right.
You would
It
hit
would-
it, you would have
If it was
frips.
arced like that, then yes, it should be a
And
wider
Now,
span.
if they used it at the point that it's a slightly less focused area,
Mhm.
the base is where power comes from, goes up to the tip, that's the pulse,
Right.
and it shoots it at a physical point,
Mhm.
then it shouldn't even be the Bermuda Triangle. It
Right.
should
It
just
should be the Bermuda Point.
yeah,
that one
Bermuda
point.
point.
Yeah.
Don't fucking go there.
Right.
But then that also just leaves up a theory that kind of makes sense. I think these people were high on bath salts because the more you talk about it, the more that theory sound. Let's jump back to, let's go back to the 90s. It's called the show Dragon Ball Z.
Oh,
Here,
gosh.
let me hit you with something.
Oh,
King
man.
Kai told of a planet of two races. the Saiyans and another
The
race.
Tuffles.
Yeah, the Tuffles. Wait a minute, the Tuffles believed in harmony, working with
The Saiyans
technology,
were- yeah.
doing everything. The Saiyans, they were extremely fierce. They fought. Wait a minute, that sounds like a left brain and right brain
Mhm.
scenario.
So
Oh,
you
wait.
think they maybe just took that and kind of...
But wait, the
integrated
way
it
they
into
said
that.
the planet was destroyed because no one believed or knew about Frieza blowing it up yet,
Mm-hmm.
a sorcerer of great power came to their planet and pulled in meteors to destroy it. Oh wait, they built a pyramidion that they used to focus energy.
Damn, that's crazy.
Wait a
This-
minute,
this
does that not
actually-
sound like the Atlantis movie we all grew up with? Where the queen or princess in that movie
That was a great movie.
found the stone necklace that gave eternal life and power, like electronic magnetic poles,
Right.
in the center of their kingdom.
Hmm.
Let me get really high
What
and
just
watch that
happened
movie
here? Yeah, what
and,
just
and
happened?
remember Dragon Ball Z and think about Atlantis, the name of the movie.
Right. Holy shit.
It sounds like these people were too messed up that they honestly thought about that,
They probably combined everything into one.
put it
Just
all
like, here we
together,
go.
or they couldn't remember
Mhm.
it came from Dragon Ball Z, because not many people remember that, because they
Right.
all know
They probably thought they
in
made
this
it up.
show that Frieza blows up the planet. So why are they going to remember what King Kai said back in Dragon Ball Z?
Right.
When it got remastered, brought into Buu Saga, everyone knew Frieza blew it up.
Mhm.
We knew the story of Bardock that originally was a canon, came canon.
Mhm.
So they're just thinking in their mind, this is what happened to Earth. I remember it. It's got to be something I read.
Right. But really, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just
It
kind
could
of
be-
like your false memory thing in the last podcast you were talking about, how, you talk about, the grass was longer back at this time. And they're like, yeah, I kind of remember that, actually. But really, it wasn't.
It could be that they thought or they were on something, not necessarily debunking it with a psychedelic drug or anything, because
Mhm.
you can't truly do that. You don't know the people, don't know what they wrote about,
Right.
or they're just babbling off. That was in the 90s.
Yeah.
When we were born, Dragon Ball Z ended, so we watched it up to the mid-2000s if we got into that type of genre, Toonami and shit. Yeah, it came up in the Conquest. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's right over here.
Well, another theory is, this says Atlantis was Antarctica. So Antarctica wasn't always a frozen, barren wasteland.
Yeah, but right before you go with that, what was in the movie Atlanta? Where did they find the book?
Damn, I didn't even remember that. It's been so long.
Transformers.
But see, I feel like this one is not true. And the reason I'm saying that is because of Plato's writing. Plato said he was able to kind of observe Atlantis and observe its fall. If Plato in Greece was able to witness that, Greece is not by Antarctica, okay? So I don't see how he would be able to, unless it wasn't from his account, it was from an eyewitness account.
Unless we go off his account, we're still thinking of planetary shift. Go back
Yeah.
into the Pangea idea. Because
That
we've
when all
already
the
gotten
continents are
notice
closer
where continents
together.
are moving because Australia's moved already a certain amount.
Right.
And with Antarctica melting right now, Canada's actually getting shifted away from the United States by a little bit. They've already experienced earthquakes and everything.
Right.
So there could be a magnitude of different faults that could go through that.
I think that Antarctica was home to a civilization at one point. I full-heartedly
I mean,
believe
if
that.
we can, as human beings, thrive in Alaska
Yeah.
without the current jackets, heat, technology we have to sustain our life in a comfortable way,
Mhm.
and people did it then, they could have done
People
it.
in the Ice Age, man, like they
They
survived.
went through that. They survived up to a certain
and
point.
Antarctica wasn't always this frozen wasteland. So I mean, I'm saying there could have been a civilization at one time. I fully believe that, but I don't think it was Atlantis. And then the last theory is that Atlantis didn't exist at all, and Plato invented it. That's valid. Like, I can see that it's kind of he's talking about the hubris of mankind, kind of like, they're egotistical, they're prideful, they are their own fall. So, I mean, that would be a cool, like, storytelling thing, but I honestly think it was more of a physical, this really was something. I don't know if it was exactly Atlantis. I don't know. I feel like this was actually something that had happened. This was actually like a civilization at some point in time.
Or it could have just been, as everybody does nowadays, we have a game. It's called Whisper. You say something in one person's ear, goes to the next, and somehow it normally changes. It's very hard to get through the game.
Telephone, whatever. Yeah,
He could have talked about a civilization that was founded, made, and it thrived. And it could have been something that started with A or within a syllable or same structure as Atlantis. And over time, people have changed the name of it to what it is now that we all call Atlantis. There's King Trident and Little Fucking Mermaids thanks to
Right.
Disney. There's multiple things that could change over time. I give it 20, 30 years, and we're going to be sitting at home. We could have kids. We're joking around, and they bring up something to us, and they're like, Dad, did this ever happen? No, I was there. Whoever told you is smoking.
a
Like,
lot.
brings in Tosh.0 joke into that situation. It's kind of weird to base the whole religion, like Mormons, around something that my dad can look at me and say, that did not happen.
Right.
So what was this about Dragon Ball that I missed?
Oh, there was a theory that was brought up as that there on the Earth there's a 5-point system of a star that aliens helped design with people that was already living on the Earth. That a lot were left brain, a lot were right brain.
Sands.
Well, see, yeah, but if you think about it, back in Dragon Ball Z, there was a specific episode where King Kai was telling Goku the full story of the Saiyans of his race, and he said there was the Tuffles and the Saiyans. One was incredibly smart, spiritualistic, and highly advanced in technology, and the other one was extremely fierce, fighting. They wanted to, overall in size, dominate everything. That follows up that conspiracy thought, and they brought in key factors that kind of correlates with literally a movie that could interact with what they were thinking about with the Bermuda Triangle, electromagnetic pulses of EMPs, and it was just a big annoyance because you can debunk it by getting really stoned, watching Atlantis, and thinking of Dragon Ball Z at the same time, and you can fabricate that conspiracy. Because how would you purposely prove this? What information would you have that an alien race came and designed all this and confronted all this? What evidence do we have of it? What evidence in general do we have of the true thought of Atlantis?
Supernatural.
Where the fuck does ghosts, werewolves, and vampires come into this type of conspiracy theory?
You've been watching a lot of Supernatural, Tyler. A lot of things.
Thank you. I love that Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles thrills you at night with fucking killing vampires and fucking demons.
Yeah,
Awesome. Doesn't correspond with Atlantis, aliens, spiritualistic people of the Shadow Realm, bring in some Yu-Gi-Oh,
I'm not.
and a meteor.
I'm not.
Don't
far
worry.
enough in it
Especially
yet,
the meteor.
but maybe there might be
Especially the
Atlantis.
meteor.
So, let's kind of move on here. Is Bigfoot possibly an alien, like species?
Bro, fuck no. It's
So, hang
motherfucking
on.
Bigfoot. Hold
Hang
up.
on, but listen. So this
I'm
says
gonna rant about this one.
the earliest clues date back to 1888, when a cattleman described an encounter with friendly Indians in Humboldt County, California. They led him to a cave where he saw a hefty humanoid creature covered in long, shiny black hair with no neck, sitting cross-legged. One Indian told him 3 of these crazy bears had been cast out of a small moon that dropped from the sky and landed. The moon then ascended back into the air. So it's highly likely the crazy bears were really Bigfoots and the moon was a spacecraft. Now fast forward almost 100 years later, 1973, this woman and her 13-year-old son were sleeping in a trailer in Cincinnati, Ohio on the morning of October 21st. She arose at 2:30 a.m. to quench her thirst and noticed strange lights in the adjoining parking lot. Looking out of the window, her attention was drawn in particular to
Parking lot.
to a cone of light shaped like a huge bubble umbrella about 7 feet in diameter. So, nearby, she spotted a grayish, ape-like creature with long, downward-angled snout, no neck, and a sizable waist. Moving slowly, it then entered into the light. About 5 minutes later, both ape man and UFO disappeared. So, there are a few more over here, but you kind of get the gist. There's a lot of sightings where it's what appears to be what we describe as Bigfoot, and it's always followed by this light that either drops him off and goes, and those Indians, man, they the Native Americans,
There was a lot of peyote back in that day.
there was, but
A
A lot
also
of peyote. And Indians did discover armadillo shit, once it's dried, is a massive hallucinogen.
yeah,
Massive.
Because they're all that peyote, man.
there's so much that you can take away from this. You can discredit them because of those, or you can say maybe that they really saw this. This was possibly
Oh,
real
I
because
got
they
it.
were right about. That was the earliest like Bigfoot sighting, and they called it crazy bears, and they said they came from this moon, but the moon would come down, drop them off, and the moon would go back up into the sky.
So you're saying like Bigfoot's like fucking ET?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what they're kind
That's
of
what ET
describing
came
it as.
from. They're like, yeah, let's just make like a brown ass creature alien that just pops on us left and stranded as like Bigfoot.
Well, necessarily you could not mean that. Back in that time, there's multiple points
But I mean-
in history that we don't understand.
I mean, let's just
Doesn't
say
mean a civilization couldn't have come, dropped off a scout, or in a sense, someone that is going to relay them information. They even interacted with this tribe. They called them crazy bears.
Crazy bears, yeah.
They called them crazy bears. So either A, it somehow spoke the dialect that they could interact with it.
To give it a name.
To give it a name. It wasn't hostile. A man came to confront it in this story.
And it was just sitting there cross-legged in the cave.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
it's
that means it was interactive. It was accepted into the tribe, and we know
Which,
back
if we're
then,
thinking, abominable snowman, Bigfoot, like, ape man, we're not thinking peaceful. We're thinking, terrified,
if we're thinking
hostile.
in that sense, as we see other creatures in nature,
Right.
we're the same thing.
Yeah.
You go up to a gorilla. Yes, some gorillas, like the one that was interacting with Robin Williams, could sign. It could speak. It interacted with us.
Right.
It said when it was scared of other
It
humans.
signed sad, when it was upset.
when
Yeah.
so it experienced emotions.
Right.
We run up to a deer. Deer's going to run. It thinks that we're something bigger, badder predator.
Right.
If you're an Indian, you're known to your tribe. You're known to what your teachings are. You know to hunt, fish, fight. That time period, they had a different style of hunting. If you saw something injured, you took it out of its misery. It was a sign of peace. You didn't attack something unless you truly needed it.
There wasn't, like, hunting for sport.
There wasn't that. So if they came across this and they don't need food, they don't need anything, they're not going to attack it. They're going to study it. They're going to interact with it.
they're going to attempt a diplomatic solution, basically. They
I
want to be
we
a
even
peaceful
have
coexistence. but-
signs of Indians back in the day cattling, actually hoarding things, keeping things like we do, not like Tyson's chicken where we keep millions of chicken locked in cages and we just kill them when we need to make orders. No, they actually
They interacted. They were friendly.
They befriended them. They found them, and they found a peaceful way to get rid of them or kill them for nourishment when it came time. And they never once lost a meal. Yes, they're back then. A lot of things are different. If you're coming in contact with another species, are you gonna run at a fucking grizzly bear? Are you gonna run at it? Like, I'm gonna love this. This is Winnie the Pooh.
Fuck yeah, I would.
Yeah, you'll die.
I don't give a fuck.
But
I'd
back
take a bear.
then, they would honestly do that. If they ran out and attacked them, they would defend themselves.
Oh, yeah.
If the
Well,
crazy
first
bears didn't attack back and it interacted,
So
they
that's
would
it.
get a chieftain or a spiritualistic priest or toteman to interact with it, find something out. And if it's sitting cross-legged in their
Chilling, not
cave,
doing anything.
that means it's been adapted. It's been brought into their tribe. It's been socialized. It's been a part of stuff. They've actually were like, this is Crazy Bear. This is a spirit deity. It came from the sky. They would praise it.
Right.
They would find it to be a god.
So where's Bigfoot now?
Well, that's the point. There's so many sightings. There's been reports of defecation that doesn't equal out
A
to
lot are in like Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
So a
But
lot
then
of
they
them
got
come from-
reports of it moving out of Colorado to Michigan. From Michigan, there's
A
even
lot of them were
reports
on
in
mountains.
Colorado.
Yeah.
So
that-
there's-
exactly.
Not even Colorado, I should say. In some in California.
Alaska and Canada also. That's
Mountain
where the
ranges.
abominable snowman sightings are, which is basically Bigfoot except white, like all white.
Well, there's a difference between every time they say Bigfoot, because there's been reports that the average Bigfoot is over 8 feet tall,
Right.
and then there's reports that the average abominable snowman is slightly over the average man in height,
Mhm.
but extremely bigger, like a gorilla.
Right.
So we're talking like a 7-foot gorilla.
We could be talking two completely different species that maybe are sub-races of the same. I mean, it's possible.
I
It could
mean,
be
think about it. We have different species of deer that just
of humans, dude. Different races of human. I mean, why not different
We
races?
categorize ourselves all as human, but if
Right.
you compare an American who's grown up in America in, say, small town Michigan
Mhm.
to someone that grew up in across the sea and, say, a small tribe in Africa,
Right.
they're going to both be same thing: lungs, heart,
Bro.
but
Just-
they're not
they're-
going to be
they're
the
slightly
exact
different, yeah.
same.
Yeah.
Because of where we developed, where we
Bruh.
growed, how we interact.
It's real simple. See, we're from Mars, you see?
Oh.
We came here. No, hold
No,
up.
we're
hold
not
up.
bringing in
Hold
like
up.
Cthulhu.
No. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. So we're from Mars, you see? So, like, the Abominable Snowman and Bigfoot and all them, they used to run this shit up on Earth.
So you're
You're
saying,
saying we invaded.
We didn't
no,
invade.
wait a
No,
minute.
Because
because
I've seen
Mars,
a Twilight Zone
hold
episode
up,
that's pretty
hold
similar.
Up. No. Wouldn't scientists explain that, like, the reason why we probably left was because there's some going on Mars. We went to the nearest planet that had more of a life, basically have more of a healthier stock. Well, boom goes the dynamite, our fucking heads are busted, we're fucking cavemen. Oh god. We're like fucking
but that means
meat-eating
here's the big thing that kind of
wannabe
messes with that
vegans and
thought.
shit.
Now, real quick,
If
before
we
you get
came
into that,
from Mars,
yes, yeah,
why would we not have the technology anymore that we were able to
So-
space travel that
yes,
far?
okay. So I'm glad you said that.
Maybe
So
we're at the same where we are here now.
well, hang on. Look, so every couple millennia, okay, technology is lost.
Yeah.
99% of technology is lost. The Egyptians, we don't know what the fuck they were doing. You know?
Yeah, we don't know how they made perfect stone.
The Romans,
we still
the
can't
Romans
do it.
had indoor plumbing, basically. Okay.
The Romans found a jar in the cave of hell that is so hot we can't get so far into it that is reactive to certain light spectrums. We can't duplicate it.
They
But
had
made
their Colosseum.
multiple.
Their Colosseum was not just used for gladiator fights; it was used for naval battles as well. And then they would flood the arena out. How did they do all this? So much technology is lost that we're just rediscovering. So, with your theory that we came from Mars, became caveman, that's very likely that could have happened. What if a cataclysm befell us when we were on the way here? Only a certain amount of us came, or whatever. What if when we landed, we were prey as soon as we got here? What if we landed in the jungles, and
We
we're
gotta
just
fuck shit
hunted
up and take it
instantly?
over.
But what if we were hunted
Like
by
the 100.
But what if we were hunted by every animal around us? There's
I mean,
jaguars
at that time,
there.
we would have. They're the ancient ancestors,
Yeah.
mammoths, everything that we fought.
Let's say we were back so far, there's even dinosaurs coming at us, okay?
I'm open T-Rex.
So, how do we defend ourselves against that if we have limited resources, limited ammunition for our weapons?
We came literally not light years. We came
What?
thousands upon thousands of miles from another planet. We're not going to think we're joining this planet without anything. We're going to be prepared to come to this planet, but
But not as prepared as
we're
we
not
should be.
prepared to conquer it.
Now, this brings me to something that Gibson and I were talking about yesterday in the podcast. There's like, I can't remember where the fuck it's at, dude. I'm pretty sure it's in like Africa or something. There are actual depictions on this ancient civilization that have been carbon dated back to be about, I want to say, I think they said it was like 4,000 years old, 5,000 years old. And what it was were there were humans and there were dinosaurs as one.
I think he's going to use the restroom.
Okay. There's a man riding a Triceratops. There's a Stegosaurus that's pulling this, like, farming thing. I can't remember what it's called. It's like the...
See, but then again, you can also say back then, if that is true, and we can look now at certain technologies and things that we do back then, let's take a painting from Picasso to a
Right.
painting of a modern day artist.
Mm-hmm.
Strokes, the way that we brush, the way that we do things are not the same, but it still makes the same image.
Right.
What if they, at that time, that civilization was depicting a different subspecies or the original species of a horse,
Mm-hmm.
of cattle, of a man riding anything? I mean, I
Let me
can
try to
ride a
find this real
horse,
quick.
I can ride a dog, but it's going to have to be like a mastiff, like literally a big-ass dog. And in 100 to 200 years, someone could get that image and it be so distorted, it looks like I'm riding a dire wolf, which we still believe to this day is around.
Right. Okay, I think I actually found one of the pictures here. So this right here. Tell me this doesn't look like a Stegosaurus to us.
That honestly looks like a Stegosaurus,
Yes.
or what we depict as a Stegosaurus.
Well, like you were saying, what if
A turtle.
there was a race?
No, Daxton's right. Daxton's right. A man was walking through his backyard in Smallest Saul Cave that was in a trench.
Mm-hmm.
He went up to it thinking a big boulder was there, but it's a prehistoric, dated back. I can't remember the true thing, but I'm just going to guesstimate. It was a couple thousand years, if
Right.
not a lot more, within a millennia, of a massive tortoise.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking massive. The average size of your compact car now, just the shell.
Right.
We could have interacted if at that time it was there,
Mhm.
and it stayed there the whole time to just keep the shell. The Earth moved around it. It caved it. It stayed. The corpse, bones, everything gone. But the
the
body.
shell.
Well, we know now today, we have small
Turtles,
turtles. They die. The shells stay.
Right.
What's the difference that a subspecies of that tortoise was not, could have spikes, could have
Mhm.
been a defense mechanism,
And that could have been what that was drawn.
could have been that, or they find them, they bring them into working or into military tactics
Attachment.
and put attachments on them for fighting. Oh, damn, I got demounted. Well, I know that I've befriended this beast that it can
He's
go
gonna
in.
help me. He's
he
gonna
can-
fuck shit up.
He's got spikes on him. He's got something.
Use tail whip.
Yeah, let's bring in some Pokemon.
Yeah.
Venusaur, go. Vine Whip.
But okay, so
Same definition.
I want to talk about aliens.
They're not real.
So
You can't say that we're honestly, that's not even a
I'm just
conspiracy
fucking around.
theory. You cannot say we're the smartest fucking people in this massive universe. And we're not even the only universe.
So real quick, I'm gonna quote Eric von Däniken. Has anyone heard of him?
I've heard of him, but never studied anything about him.
So he wrote a book called Chariot of the Gods, and I highly recommend it to those listening. It's a fantastic book. So one thing, let
I
me
also
rewind
recommend
just a little
Pokedo no
bit.
Piku.
Let me rewind just a little bit. So these depictions, okay, that we see in our ancient world. We see, these like alien-looking beings. We see there's even cave depictions of an astronaut. There's even on, I can't remember where it is in Spain, perhaps, on this like temple made in like the 14th century or 15th century. There's literally a spaceman floating there. There's I believe it was the Mayans, their god Kukulkan, one of their gods, was said to have flown down in a serpent and exited the belly. And then he went back up inside the belly and then took off again in a flash of light. So, let me get at this real quick. So, that kind of sounds like maybe it was a spaceship, and when it landed, the belly or the bay opened up and he climbed out. The head being the cockpit and the bay being the belly. So he came out, gave them knowledge, gave them what they needed to build these pyramids as well, got back in, flew away. So they wrote it as a dragon. Okay, today we would know a spaceship.
We would categorize it as a spacecraft or
Right.
unidentified flying object,
But
UFO.
if you're a primitive mind and you look up and see a modern day airplane, what are you going to say? Hey, that looks kind of like a bird. That's a big ass bird. There are people in that bird. So
Yeah, I can understand it. I can see it.
So Eric von Däniken says in his book, The Chariot of the Gods, there's a hypothetical situation here where these astronauts need to refuel on this planet, like humans need to refuel on this planet. They can't make it to the point they're trying to get to because they have to refuel here or else they're not going to be able to make it any further. So they stop. Well, what do they come across? They come across a primitive civilization on this planet. So to the primitive people, they're like, holy shit, they're gods. You know what I mean? They're saying these are gods. And let's face it, if someone comes up to you and a whole like tribe is worshiping you as a god, are you going to tell them I'm not a god, or are you just kind of be like, sure, man, think what you want. Hey, you want to go get these resources for me that I need to fix my ship? Go ahead, go mine for me.
Well, I'm an honest man.
Yeah. So
Yeah, like you wouldn't want the praise, the sacrifices, or whatever they would do in your name. Or in that time period that they praised, or any time period we've able to be seen, people do stupid shit like sexual offerings.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're gonna turn down some old pussy. Totally.
So, in that situation, do you choose to leave right away, or do you choose to stay and maybe impart some knowledge that you know to these people as a reward kind of for helping you get what you need? And then when you leave, they see it as the gods ascending after they gave us knowledge. The gods will be back. Of course, why wouldn't the gods come back? They've interacted, you know. But really, us astronauts, we're on our way. We're going to our destination now. We're done with that planet. We got what we needed. We refueled. We're going to this
Not
planet.
necessarily done with it. I mean,
Right,
you
right,
should
right.
knock down, like, we
But-
remember.
But what if at this point we know there are billions of civilized worlds? We're like, we don't really give a shit anymore. We just need to get to this location because there's something here that we need. A freaking golden idol. Okay.
Okay,
So
I see what you're saying, but
Right.
then again, think about it this way. Let's say I live on the north side of town.
right.
There's a gas station
So
less
like
than
a
a
refueling
mile
depot.
away
Okay.
from me.
Okay.
But hey, I don't need that one. I got plenty of gas on me. I don't need to refill there, waste my time. I can go to my destination, the west side of town.
Mm-hmm.
I'll hit 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 gas stations on
Right.
the way.
Right.
I remember those.
Mhm.
So at any point in time that I need to refuel, I can hit them.
Right.
Or if they do that destination trip again,
Mhm.
hey, we're going to pass this planet. Or this gas station,
Right.
are we sure we don't need anything? Well, we might need this. I know this planet has it. We've been there before.
So.
Stop again.
But what is also mind blowing is what if you're right? We don't forget about that planet. But what if we need to go into like cryo sleep because it's like a 10,000 year journey to get to that destination, and then when we come back to refuel another 10,000 years later, we visit again. So that's kind of like the span here on Earth. How there's so many aliens came here. Well, the gods came here. Then they weren't seen for thousands of years. They were back again at this other location. That's why all these pyramids are built.
Well,
over the
then again,
world.
you can also take in consideration how some things are. We have a study, we've proven it, and I kind of want you guys to fill me in if I miss a point or something.
Mhm.
We've shown people on the International Space Station, they're getting at a different rate. They get a different aspect of time.
Yes.
It's a minute one.
Same with Stephen
but
Hawking.
They get a difference of
Stephen
time.
Hawking and black holes. Okay, the black hole singularity, all that. If you go around, let's say there's people on Earth. There's a black hole up here, and here's a spacecraft filled with people. You go around that black hole. It's been 10 years on Earth, but for you, it's only been 5. Because it is distorted time and space, because we know space-time is one
then again,
thing.
you get into that whole conspiracy theory. Technically, we as humans,
Mhm.
we made time.
Right.
We made our own fixed point of a reality of what we can comprehend.
What is it? I think, therefore I am type of deal.
So I can't sit there. I can go outside right now and scream, and someone can say, "Shut up! It's 2 in the morning."
And
I'm
you can
like,
say, no, it's not. That's made up.
I can be
That's
like,
not
no,
real.
it's not. It could be because we, as a people, I've messed around with people before, and I've said it. I was like, "Hey, it's midnight," and they're like, "Dude, it's 10:30."
You're like, nah, it's
No.
midnight.
I've actually looked at them. I was like, "No." In the spectrum of how we devise time, you can say it's dark at 5, 8 o'clock. How we change with the sun.
Mm-hmm.
What is the mid of our spectrum of night and the mid of day? That's how we got our aspect of high noon,
Mm-hmm.
summer does peak, and when it wasn't.
Oh,
High noon. But we can say that the gods came down. Here's the bad part. Other tribes, we can even say the Mayans and the whole joke about 2000, world's going to end 2012.
Mm-hmm.
They had their own aspect of time. It's completely different than ours.
What's to say their 2012 is our 2012 type of deal, right?
Exactly. So what says that this tribe visited? To us, it's been hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
Retrospect and their formality of how they do shit, it's only been 2 weeks.
Dude, and that's the crazy thing is once Earth, yes, these are the hours. Okay, what about if we have colonies on Mars? What are the hours there?
It would be completely different.
Exactly.
What was it? Not too long ago, Pluto made its first rotation in the time that we've studied it.
Yeah.
That would have been
That
one
one
year
year.
on Pluto.
1 year
That
for
would have been
Pluto.
supposedly 1 year for Pluto.
Not for us, but
it
for
was
Pluto, yes.
multiple for
Mhm.
us. So how we perceive the fabrication of time and space is completely different.
Right.
So these people could have saw a space. How the fuck do we not know? Yes, it's been proven we can time travel.
Right.
Because as we just spoke about,
Forward.
we can go
Moving
forward. Here in space, people on Earth are experiencing stuff differently.
Right.
We don't know, truthfully, how to go back. What's saying that we didn't go through an aspect of point, say tomorrow we launch something into space.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is getting into that sci-fi weirdness,
Right.
that we don't somehow go to a fixed point of the reality that we're in, that it's a different time.
Right.
It shows signs that, as you said earlier, we lose technology, we lose resources, we lose stuff that we did. We shoot somebody into space, he's on a 10-year mission.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to go, wrap back around, come back.
Yeah.
Who says that he's not going to come back and think it's the 1600s again?
Yeah.
Because things are completely different.
Exactly.
And that kind of corresponds with what Keegan's saying. Maybe that whole first conspiracy theory of the nuclear war on Mars, that we kind of didn't know how to be plausible, not probable.
Right. Can't prove one way or the other, but
Maybe it
theorize.
happened.
Yeah.
We did come here. Who says we didn't know we didn't come before? We didn't do that before from some other fixed point in the history of everything, because we know Big Bang. Everything happened.
right.
How do we know what happened first and what didn't when it says it all happened at once?
Yeah.
There's a magnitude of
It's a
things.
mind fuck.
That's all that this stuff is. And there's people, which I would love to be one of those people that somehow tries to study this shit, because where the hell do you look? You can't Google it.
Right. Google does not have the
Davin, I have a
answers.
question for you.
What?
Do you believe in the Big Bang?
Well, yeah.
I mean, we can
But
go back to
do
a
you
fixed
believe
point
that
of
God
reality where it
created
all kind of...
Yes. Well, in the Bible, it says that God said, "Let there be light," aka Big Bang.
So that kind of doesn't disprove nor disprove any, and we're not getting into that theory because I don't want to like really piss people off or damage the channel in any religious aspect, because that's one of those things that you don't really touch without having.
It's not really debates at that point. It's
more
basically
criticism.
Yeah, someone's trying to one up the other and prove they're better or some shit.
That's why we kind of, and not to get technical, that's why we kind of have the separation of the church and
state,
science.
yeah.
We
And-
had that separate, but then again, the Big Bang was discovered by a priest.
Yeah.
So we can't normally say that we don't correspond.
Right.
And I mean, we just blew everything off topic from the astronaut. The
Yeah,
beast,
yeah,
the belly.
I
But it
love
kinda
this podcast.
It kind of follows the idea that
Right.
that maybe did happen. We cannot disprove or prove it.
Exactly. That ties in with what we were saying earlier. It all
And
wraps
then
around full
again,
circle.
The whole wrap around the circle, how do we not know that what we're finding, and this is where things do a massive mindfuck,
Mm-hmm.
the multiple reality,
Mm.
the
Very
multi-universe, the multi-theory,
Right.
which we did discover in light waves. We put multiple lights on one object. It made 3-4 different shadows.
Is that
and
what
we-
CERN was, or current? How do you say that? CERN. I don't remember what they're.
They discovered that each light spectrum of that shadow was completely different, but
Right.
it's the same object.
Yes.
So who doesn't say that they depicted this,
Mm-hmm.
but it came from a different set point of something else, and they
Mm.
just came over. Wait, now that's a massive
That that
sci-fi
right there.
Stargate Atlantis. We visited something else of a different.
There you
time.
go, viewers. Think about that for a while.
Yeah, that's something that's going to hit you. It's like, if I do this, this happens. But if I
Right.
didn't do it, this happens.
Yes.
We have that now. We joke about it. We make movies around it. We make aspects around it.
Right.
Chicken nuggets.
How do we not know that it's not actually happened?
It's very possible.
The multi-theory of multiple realities within one set universe, that multiple things can correspond. Because people get deja vu of things that they never experienced before,
Davin did it.
Yeah, dude, it's
and
bad.
it hits us at random times. Who says that we didn't do it before and we're just now catching up with something
Bro,
else?
I'm
What if
telling
it's
you, it's from a
different
past life
dimensional?
because reincarnation does.
Yeah, see, that's another conspiracy theory that we can come up,
Just-
that people
I'm
have
just
been
saying.
reincarnated, and there's proof of it.
So the people who have said, like this little boy who says, "I was murdered. I have a
And he
birthmark. I was
actually
hit in the head." He
proved-
found the body, pointed out the killer.
Because he had all the memories. But then that can hit something else.
Mhm.
The spiritual world. People have gone into an aspect
That
form.
can also turn
He
into what you
went
were just
into
saying. Yes.
someone
Yep.
else and gave him all the information. It's a
Mhm.
different set point of reality of a different universe.
Right. Not necessarily reincarnation, but spiritual levels. Like it's
Your spirit went on into a different body. Now it's not you.
Right.
You were born as, say, John Stewart.
Right.
You die, another person's born. He looks just like you.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't say that of a spiritual level or your mental capacity changes over, look the same, but you're not the same.
Right.
I mean,
you're a
you're-
different person, but you
there's
still.
You
like
still
everyone in
remember
the
and show
world-
stuff.
Everyone
Now,
in the
I
world
can
has,
joke
like, an
around with my
exact
parents all
copy
the
of
time about
themselves somewhere.
That's true. Daxton brought up a good point. Everyone in the world has like
A
has a
doppelganger.
twin. Yeah.
Everyone has someone that looks like them. It's been proven.
For me, it's Ed Sheeran.
Now, because your hair and everything.
Yeah, I know. I need a haircut. Man. I gotta shave my head again.
Dude, I don't know. If there's more than one of you in this world, this
Zac
planet's
Efron.
fucked. Yeah, he's not jacked enough. I'm sorry. He's pretty skinny and he's got some leanness, but
Give
no.
me 2 weeks.
Give me 2 weeks. Give me 2
Are
weeks
you
and a
Give me
lot
about
of
5
steroids.
seconds.
You gonna do 60-second abs?
Nah, it's gonna be called 5-second quickie.
Oh God, that's pretty bad.
So
Included. But no, like. What we talking about again?
a lot.
There's a lot of things.
Okay,
Honestly,
whoa, we're talking about different theories. Oh, reincarnation. All right.
Been
So let
about
me explain
50
this.
minutes.
yeah,
Okay,
we
so
gotta
we got-
sum
make
this
it
up
60
We got about
minutes.
10 minutes left.
of this
And then we
podcast.
need to
Let's,
call it.
before we jump off of your topic, like as soon as you're done, let's go into one more topic that would be a pretty good one to end it off with. There's been videos and posts and everything that's been going around, even local news and other news have caught on to it, of a spotting of an actual dragon in China.
Oh, don't get me
I've
started
heard
with that crap.
No,
I'm gonna
that's-
have myself a falcon.
I will actually
Let's
pull up the article
actually
real quick.
start that off. That mythical beings of that style of a dragon still exist today.
Bro, I'm telling you, they just flying around. They just chilling.
Well, not even
They
that.
up
You
on
can technically
mountains.
say that they burrow. They're of what we think of a lizard.
They just hiding.
Lizards hibernate for a long period of time. Why not
They are playing a
Aspect
game of
that
peekaboo.
bigger,
What if you know,
bigger animal?
hibernation for 10,000 years?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We
We don't know
mo-
the lifespan of a
We've
dragon.
monitored a snake that it hibernates for a set period of time.
Dragons live hundreds of years.
I'm just saying, a
Giant.
dragon.
That, yeah, but then
gosh.
again, no.
You don't
We
need
can
cars.
jump back on that.
Yeah, you would need a
Our
monster
years
dragon.
are on our own fabrication. We don't
True.
know a dragon's true lifespan. We can be like, yes, it lived for hundreds and hundreds of years, but in its average time, we could say that dragon, 400 years old, in its own mind, its own species, it's still a newborn.
Right.
We don't have a true aspect of time in what others perceive it as. Because birds don't have clocks, deers don't have clocks, but they know when to do stuff.
What should I look up to find that?
I don't know. It was a YouTube video of someone exploring a cave, and he came across something, and it flew away really quick. And it
There
only
was
gave-
gust, like an actual gust of wind. Yeah,
It was
like
gone.
it was.
Well, they
And he
found
saw
one
it fly
supposedly
away.
Found one and killed one.
You're talking about the skeleton?
No,
not
no,
the
no. It was a
skeleton.
white. It depicts the dragon that is in Chinese lore, the white long one
Oh.
with the.
Yeah, the whisker. The
They
whisker things.
depict that they
The
found
catfish
one.
whisker
Yes,
things.
they
Fucking cowboy.
supposedly they
Yeah.
found one that was dead, and it was a dried carcass.
Okay.
It was mummified, almost equivalently. They knew it was dead.
So it was well embalmed almost. Like it was well
It
preserved.
seemed like it. It seemed it was well preserved, like it died and it hardened. It was
Right.
like rigor mortis for us, but it rigor mortis to the point everything was there.
Right.
It was just there.
Right.
They didn't know where it was. I mean, they found it in a part of China,
Mhm.
in a very off part away from civilization. They came across it. They researched the area. There it is. It's just there randomly. They can't explain it.
Right.
But it depicts stuff from, let's say, 16th, 17th dynasty. That was their warrior. That's what they depict everything as. The great golden dragon of unity.
Right.
That still jumps into the time theory.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to be like, this thing is 800 years old. It has been our protector. Dude, if you could speak dragon, how much would I bet he's going to be like, I'm still a teenager?
Yeah. He's like, dude, what do you mean? I'm like 12.
Yeah.
Bro, no, he ain't
I'm
gonna
in
be like
12 in dragon years. Like that's
Yeah.
my
that.
years.
Dragon
Look how
is gonna
we-
be like goo goo gaga.
Yeah. It's still a baby.
How do we
yeah.
think about dogs? A new study was released
So-
back in 2015.
Yeah.
The first year of a
Mhm.
dog's life is relevant to 7 of ours.
Right.
But every year after that is now perceived as 2. It's not
Yes.
7, 7,
It's not.
7.
Yeah. It's not
It's
7, 14,
2.
21, 28. It doesn't
no, now
keep
you go
going
7,
in 7 and
9,
7.
11.
Mm-hmm. And then 12 and so on and
My
so
dog's
forth.
13 years old.
It goes by weight. I found
And-
a single one.
Yeah. My dog is 13. She is slowly passing. But the way her body is aged, it shows that she's within about her 60s and 70s.
Right.
With the way her DNA structure is. What's not to say that we say that about something else, of these mythical creatures that we
What if
can't
dragons?
find?
What if 1 year in human time is only not even a quarter of a year, a quarter of a month in their time?
We can't. We have to perceive it differently,
Right.
which is a big thing.
Yeah. That's crazy. We're getting deep now, but because I thought you were talking about also there was whenever you were bringing up the second dragon, there was a skeleton that was found in China by this like Chinese village. It has like 10 million views, something like that. They found like the skeleton of what they assumed to be a dragon. It's huge. It's massive. You know, it was like 2017, I believe, is when it was found, or 2016. And you know, they are convinced. Like China just accepted it. They're just like, yeah, it's a dragon.
It's in their culture. It's
Right.
something that they perceive as normal that
Right.
they found over there.
Right. which makes you kind of think, if all these people around China are depicting dragons that are very similar, obviously they saw something.
Something sparked that.
Unless it's just a collective consciousness, like they had to have seen something, like you said, spark that. Like
it has to be. Now let's jump into how different thing is. Mexico, chupacabra. That's what they have. They have the chupacabra.
Yeah.
What do we have in America? We joke about leprechauns.
Yeah.
We joke about
Bigfoot.
some stuff.
Bigfoot.
That's Bigfoot.
We joke about seeing unicorns and all that kind of stuff.
Egyptians, they had
They had
the
Sphinx.
genes.
They had the Jinx. They
had that gene splicing.
They had Anubis.
Dog head on.
They had
Anubis.
Anubis. What says that everybody didn't have their, as we said it, localized thing, like how we said humans, they're all the same but of different
But
things.
yes, you see, there's an
Dragons
American
and everything over
American
there.
on American soil looks different from a Japanese man on Japanese soil.
It's different lifestyles, different things.
Yes.
But then again, let's jump together how we think about stuff. We depict dragons in America. We think of 4 legs, large wings, long neck, fire-breathing demons.
But China, long,
very
spirally.
They
a lot
have
of them
very
were
long whiskers.
peacekeepers.
They're
They were
wise.
protectors. Yeah, wise. They were protectors.
But then we jump to people who predict other things. It's completely different.
Right.
That's 2 different species. What doesn't say, as we see
We
in
have our
lizards
own.
and everything else, they have to live in those areas. That's what their bodies are attuned to.
Right.
So we get the big, beefy killers because they like this area. It's hunting. It's
Right.
good.
This is
While
their
the-
location, while China,
Which is a different climate, different atmosphere.
different everything, man. Yeah.
So they have a different dragon.
Right.
Or any mythical creature. We depict pixies and everything in here as fairies of good luck. We got Tinkerbell.
Right.
You look at an ancient history of anything in Africa, China, or
Talking about the demented sprites.
Yes,
That were basically
which are related to pixies in our knowledge, but
Mhm.
then again,
completely different. in
completely
other
different.
ways.
Like the tooth fairy
Oh,
comes, gives you money. China's theory of the tooth fairy,
Scary.
scary. That it crawled into the kids' rooms and stole their teeth out of their mouth if they were bad and didn't do proper hygiene.
Mhm.
And it was
Old
said as
Santa
a joke.
Claus for them.
Actually, we know the story of Santa Claus. Actual Saint Nicholas back in the 1700s, he
Saint
would give
Dick.
toys
Gifts
and everything
and- yeah.
through the children of his village, and he actually passed on as a saint. But then, let's jump back a few years. I remember in 2010, right before we closed this out,
Mhm.
they saw the night of Christmas, right when it was about to be all over, a gleaming red light they cannot explain in the sky, flying at a very equivalent speed that we haven't reached in air,
Not even
back
confirmed.
to the South or North Pole.
Right.
So there's a lot of depictions in lore, fantasy, how things work. That doesn't make sense if you're not from that localized area.
And even if you are, maybe it doesn't make sense to you either. I feel like a lot of it is, it's either faith or you're there. It's either faith, where you blindly, believe in this, but you believe it full-heartedly. Or you were there as an eyewitness account, you saw this, there were hundreds of other people who saw this as well, and that's how that circulated around.
I
I'm
mean,
just saying about this though, like we need to find a
We need to find a
we need to
dragon.
find a
No, I don't
dragon.
care. No, I'm telling you. I'm talking about
The
like,
next podcast will be from China. We will be there searching for dragons.
No, I'm telling you, like no one would
Expect a
fuck
live
with you.
stream of us walking around China not being assholes.
Asking
Logan
about
Paul.
dragons. Yeah.
I will be asking about. Wait, what if the dragons are the fucking statues?
I mean,
Maybe-
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
Japan-
that's
no,
for
no,
another-
no,
Maybe
hold on.
that's their
that's for
hibernation.
another episode.
That's their hibernation.
Another
That's their
episode. They
hibernation.
actually
no.
go to stone.
Japan, they just sit there and like we hiding that shit.
All right. Well, we are reaching the end here, so we're gonna wrap this up.
Come on, dragons.
But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this lovely podcast. We would love to hear your feedback. We'd love to. We'd love to hear anything you have to say, any conspiracies that you may have, any theories in general. I'd like to the next podcast. I'd like to tackle some time travel conspiracies because there are a few that are fucked. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your continuous support on our channel. We just recently, broke 100 subs, and that's a big deal to us. We're
very proud of that, and you should be too because you all play a part in that. So we will check in with you guys in the next podcast or the next video that is uploaded. I love you all. Daxton loves you all. Gibson loves you all. Tyler loves some of you. Keegan hates you all.
That's about accurate. The original Power Ranger over here signing out.
Stay frantic, ladies and gentlemen.